Before we begin this story, I want to be upfront in saying I've always been a skeptic. For the longest time, I didn't believe any of the ghost stories that were being said when at work. We always made a joke that there was a ghost named Gerald, but I never put any stock into it. See, I grew up with family members who always went ghost hunting, and I never saw anything. So why would work be any different? This story contains all the typical bumps and bangs and shadow figures out of the corner of your eye, but also something a little bit stranger, something a little bit more curious. It began with me and a couple of coworkers just talking about how the office always felt off. As harmless as that, we always felt like there was something there watching us, or we could hear things walking above us. One day, a coworker of mine, Mary, and I, we were talking in the doorway of one of the therapist offices, and we began to hear what sounded like a triangle, the instrument from an elementary school music class. It sounded like it was going off in between us. It was the strangest thing. We tried our best to debunk it, banging various different things against each other to see if we could recreate the sound. We were unsuccessful. That was the first time we heard something that really couldn't be explained. This led to me hearing the entity or the ghost, whatever you want to call it, multiple times per day even. I would hear people walking and shuffling above me. Even clients would hear it. But it always kept a allure of curiosity with it. I would see shadow figures dancing. I would see different things darting across hallways, or feel as though I was being watched when I was walking around closing down the building. Nothing ever happened to me, but at times I would hear different things, like doors being opened and closed. One of the weirder experiences I had was when I was getting ready for a client phone call. So I left, and there was only 2 of us in the building at the time, other than myself, 2 other employees. I went into one of the therapy rooms to make my call. I was getting ready, and before I could even close the door to my office, it had been slammed closed on me. Now, at first, I thought this was the other 2 in the building playing a trick on me, because we often are lighthearted in the office, trying to, cheer each other up. It was not. I ran back. I ran back to our bullpen, which is where all of the counselors hang out in between sessions, and I asked them, I said, "Are you guys fucking with me?" They said no. And it would have been impossible anyways, because they would have had to have ran back, and I didn't hear any footsteps, because I had checked immediately after the door had slammed. Something else had slammed the door in my face. I did not think of it as something that was harmful at the time. It just felt similar to all the other things that we do around the office, just a trick to kind of keep up with spirits. Where this story gets a little bit creepy for me is, this didn't happen to me, but one of my coworkers said she was at the office late one day, and she heard me talking, and she was unaware that I was working that day. The only problem was, I wasn't. Whatever it was could mimic my voice in the office. I've heard of ghost stories and stuff, but mimicking voices is something different. I've never been familiar with anything like that. It was creepy for me, but after this, pretty much the only things I experienced were typical things here and there with like bumps, bangs, not a whole lot more, but if I'm being honest, it's not the what, it's the where. I started experiencing things at my home. This is where the story is caught up. If you enjoyed this type of content, let me know in the comments, because I have plenty of other stories similar to this. Maybe they're not ghost stories, but just strange occurrences that have happened throughout my life with different people. There's things that I like to call local cryptids that I could talk about if you like this type of supernatural stuff. Also, this is just me trying something else out, so if it's not your thing, no biggie. And as always, stay strong, everybody.